Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Friday Off Screen with Deepa and Jijo.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey Gigi, I need your help with rehearsing a small portion of a script.
Oh,
Are you up for
okay.
it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get started. Yeah.
Just read your lines and I will start.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. डिनर में क्या होना जी?
जो बनाए सो खा ले तू.
अभी ऐसे ही बोलते, बाद में ये नहीं होना, वो नहीं होना करके दिमाग खाते.
अरे मेरे को नाको पूछो तुमा.
इतना नखरे कायको कर रहे? तुम जो बोलते मैं जाको बना तू.
हल्लू बातों करो मियाँ.
हल्लू इच बोल रही मैं. क्या है कि नहीं मालूम. इना कुछ नहीं बोलते जी.
What was that?
Okay, so this is the language I have been hearing from my childhood.
Right.
You must have heard about Hyderabadi Hindi, the colloquial thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, Hyderabadi Hindi in the contemporary form. Fun fact, it's not Hyderabadi Hindi.
Oh, you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, a dialect or a language in its own right called Dakhni.
Dakhni, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, are we talking about Dakhni today?
Yes. Let's talk about Dakhni.
Okay.
Because people who live outside Hyderabad, people who are from Hyderabad definitely know it.
Yeah.
And people who are also in Gulbarga and other regions also know it. Other regions of Kannada, Karnataka and Maharashtra also know it. But people who are outside that, they may not know what we are talking about. Yeah. So there is this lect or dialect called Dakhni, which I really want to talk about. It's very close to my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think, it's also the fact that it's not Hyderabadi Hindi,
Yes.
it's not Hyderabadi Urdu, right? It is Dakhni.
It is Dakhni.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So why not let's start about some of your stories, because you've, grown up in Hyderabad,
Right.
you identify yourself as a Hyderabadi.
Yeah.
So, what are your early memories of Dakhni,
Yeah. So again, fun fact.
Yeah.
I didn't really know it was called Dakhni
Right.
until very late.
Uh-huh.
Until I went on a walking tour in Hyderabad very recently, a few years back. That's a shame. However, in my childhood, in my home, I never spoke Dakhni.
Ah, okay.
So my interaction, unknowingly that it's Dakhni, was more with vendors, like vegetable vendors or handymen who came home, electrician and so on.
Yeah.
They used to speak in a very different form of Hindi plus Urdu plus something of our own, which we just used to think that we Hyderabadis speak
Right.
that way.
And at that point in time, I think it was very uniquely Hyderabadi, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
Yeah.
Because I knew only Hyderabad. I didn't go to Gulbarga and other places. So I just thought that it's our local language.
Right.
But however, my Hindi is not adulterated because my schooling in Hindi was pretty pure.
Yeah.
We were taught pretty pure Hindi.
Yeah.
So
when you talk to your friends, you would probably talk in Telugu, but then otherwise, let's say people who spoke in Hindi, for example, you never really spoke Dakhni and
yeah, so people who are in Hyderabad, I think I involuntarily switched to that
Right.
Dakhni dialect or lect.
so when you're speaking to someone who's speaking Dakhni, you naturally have
yes,
that
I just
context switch.
Nakko ji, ऐसे मत करो,
Right.
क्या बातें कर रहे तुम?
Yeah,
All that comes very naturally to me.
Right.
Although my dad still speaks more. His Hindi is not as pure as mine, but he still gets into that Dakhni dialect most of the time. Yeah.
Right. Exciting. And I think even now you have such a large number of people who speak Dakhni,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Still it's happening.
Right.
It's mostly, it is said that, it's part of the Muslim community in the Deccan region.
Yeah.
However, it's really spoken not just based on religion, but all communities.
Yeah.
Whenever we interact, whenever you go to the old basti of Hyderabad and all, we speak Dakhni. That.
Yeah,
So
it's exciting.
you read quite a lot on history. So do you have any focus on how Dakhni evolved and all? It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think probably the story of Dakhni is also a story of the history of the Deccan region, right? So the word Dakhni itself, has its origin in the word Deccan.
Deccan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Deccan, I mean, I think, Deccan and South India can be, used interchangeably. But then Deccan is more than South India. So Deccan is typically, we have the Deccan Plateau as a geographical formation. And as a region, typically the area south of the Narmada River is classified as Deccan. And it is said that, the Deccan region, the Deccan Plateau especially, very rich in minerals. Is
and
one
diamonds?
of the... Yeah, exactly, diamonds. Yes, exactly. So that's why you have the Golconda diamonds. The Kohinoor that we still fight about, which came from the Golconda mines in Deccan. And it's one of the oldest and one of the most stable geographical formations of India. Right? So the Deccan area, I mean, in the present day context, it's not just the south, but it also includes parts of Maharashtra. Right? So if I look at the current geographical area, probably it is Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telengana, and parts of Kerala. So that
parts of Kerala as well?
Yeah, exactly. So that entire area, is the the Deccan, the Deccan area, right? Geographically, probably Kerala is not part of the Deccan, plateau. But then, if you look at historically the kingdoms that the Deccan kingdoms ruled, Kerala was also parts of Kerala were also part of it.
So how did the language originate?
Yeah, so the origin of the Deccan language, I think, is the Dakhni, is related to the conquest of the Deccan region by rulers from north. Especially the Islamic rulers from north, right? So Islam as a religion, has been there, especially in the south of India, from even before, from probably early part of the initial centuries, right? But in terms of the Islamic invasion that came into Deccan, that was probably during late 1200s, mid 1300s.
Yeah, that's when the Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq
Muhammad bin Tughlaq came in, even before that.
He's changed his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad.
Exactly. So even before, the capital was shifted by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, there were late 1200s, there were invasions that came from, the Delhi Sultanate. But the major change, I would say, happened when Muhammad bin Tughlaq took this decision to move his capital from Delhi, to Daulatabad in present-day Maharashtra. What that did was that, there was a huge movement of people from Delhi coming into Daulatabad. Which meant that there was a demographic shift, there was a cultural shift. With that came a linguistic influence as well.
And they used to speak Dahlavi, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In the north.
So that is the old, Hindi, or the old Hindustani, that we talk about. So it was called Dahlavi, and they brought that language in here. To the Deccan Plateau. So so initially they were in Daulatabad in Maharashtra. And which was around in mid 1300s. But then, as we know, that move of Muhammad bin Tughlaq to move the capital.
Was a Tughlaqi decision?
Yeah, exactly. It was a Tughlaqi decision. That did not succeed. People were not all that happy to move in, and Daulatabad had issues like they had problems with water and things like that. And ultimately, they had to kind of abandon that move. But even though Muhammad bin Tughlaq went away from Daulatabad, there was still a significant number of Muslims in the community that remained out there. And that kind of gave rise to what we know as the Bahmani Sultanate.
Yeah, I read about it in school, but
Right. So the Bahmani Sultanate, they were initially based out of Daulatabad, and then they shifted the capital to Gulbarga. Right? Which is there in Karnataka at the moment, right? And then I think they moved the capital to Bidar. And they ruled for about 150 years, the Bahmani Sultanate. And Bahmani Sultanate is very exciting, interesting, because they were like the first independent Islamic kingdom in
southern India.
in the southern part of India, the Bahmani Sultanate.
Right.
And we still have, when you go to Gulbarga or when you go to Bidar, you still have remnants from an architectural perspective of Bahmani Sultanates and the later Islamic kingdoms.
Right.
So
it was these Bahmani Sultanates only, they split, right?
Yeah, they split after
4
that.
or 5
Yeah, exactly. They
kingdoms,
split after that. So the Bahmani Sultanates later, after about 150 years, they split into 5 kingdoms, which we known as which is known as the Deccan Sultanates.
Okay. So Bahmani Sultanate split into Deccan Sultanate.
Exactly. So Bahmani Sultanate was one single large kingdom that ruled significant parts of South India.
So this Dakhni, is it then brought by, evolved during Bahmani?
Yeah, exactly. So what happened is that they came with the Dahlavi language, right? Even though they patronized Persian as the court language.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah. But then they had Dahlavi, which was even prior to the evolution of the current Hindi or the current Urdu, right?
Hindi is pretty recent.
Yeah. Hindi evolved from that.
Right.
So basically what happened is that Dahlavi mixed with Marathi, mixed with Kannada, mixed with Telugu.
Okay.
That has actually given rise to the language that we know as Dakhni.
Dakhni, okay.
Right.
So Dakhni is Dahlavi plus Telugu, some words.
Marathi,
maybe because they had local intermixing and influence of the local languages.
Right.
And in Deccan Plateau, what do we have? We have Maharashtra, parts of Maharashtra, parts of AP, Telengana, and Karnataka.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. So that's how I think a local vernacular language evolved.
Exactly.
A mix of all those. Khichdi language. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We cannot just say that it's Khichdi language and things like that, because it was patronized by a number of kings. There is a significant literature for the language. It was patronized by a number of the Sufi saints as well. And as the Bahmani Sultanate split, so they split into 5 kingdoms like Ahmednagar, Golconda, Bidar, Berar, etc. For example, Golconda, which was formed by the Qutub Shahis.
Yes.
So
been to the Qutub Shahi too.
Exactly. So we normally we tend to equate Hyderabad with the Nizams.
Yes.
But it's important to understand that the Qutub Shahis were
founders of
when Bahmani
Nizams came after Qutub Shahi.
Exactly. So Nizams came in after the Mughals tried to invade South, and the Deccan Sultanates, that these 5 kingdoms, they there was a decline for them, and the Mughal overlords, so they had actually put in people to kind of rule the South. And Nizams were part of that, who were taking care of the Golconda region. But when the Deccan Sultanates happened, they also took the language to these local regions, right? So, for example, the Qutub Shahis were based out of Golconda. They gave an impetus or a push to Dakhni in the Golconda region. So that is why, for example, you will see this language not just in Hyderabad, but being spoken in multiple areas, in the Deccan.
Right. Including Danish state also, he always mimics that type of a language, and that is actually that is indeed Dakhni.
Exactly.
What he's speaking.
Exactly. And so you see that in Gulbarga, you would see that in Bidar, you would see that even Hyderabad, of course. You would see that even in Tamil Nadu. Places like Vellore, where there was remnants of this. Now when you talk about Danish state, I think there have been some movies as well, right? With Dakhni.
The Angres.
Angres,
that was there, and then Hyderabadi Nizams.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
another. That's purely spoken in. I mean, the dialogues were purely
Yeah,
in Dakhni language.
Right.
And there is also interesting thing is there's something called Dollywood.
Dollywood.
Dollywood. So
Nice.
we have Tollywood for Telugu, but then there is a subcategory called Dollywood,
Right.
where the movies or the language that is spoken in that particular cinema is purely, I mean, predominantly Dakhni.
Right.
So
right.
that's also there. It's so interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
where the language came from, how
exactly.
it is rooted, and right now if I go, I don't know, because a lot of immigrants started coming into Hyderabad, and we have Gujaratis, we have so many cultures and intermixing.
And that's the beauty of Hyderabad.
Right.
I think it is such a melting pot, between the south and the north and other cultures. Whether it's in language, whether it's in food, whether it's in dressing, that absolutely is there in Hyderabad.
Right. So very interesting. I mean, how the influences happen on language. I hope so. There are also manuscripts, by the way. One of the oldest manuscript is Padam Rao,
Right.
kind of a thing, which Adil Shah, and during that Shah dynasty,
Right.
Qutub Shah and Adil Shah, they have written some poems as well in it. I've not read any of those, but they are in Dakhni, so it's very
Yeah, exactly. So that is I think probably the essence that we have lost. We at the moment, I think we look at Dakhni as as a variant or a colloquial form of Urdu or a colloquial form of Hindi, or even maybe an accent, right? But it is not corruption. It is not a corrupted form of Hindi or a corrupted form of Urdu.
It evolved on its own.
It evolved on its own. So while Dahlavi, it came to south, and it intermixed with local languages like Marathi, Kannada, and then that gave rise to Dakhni. And which was backed by significant pieces of literature behind it. At that similar point of time, there was evolution of Hindi and Urdu. That basically happened. That elsewhere in India that happened. Right. So it's really a very interesting part of our history. Especially the way intermingling of cultures happened in the Deccan region
I really hope this dialect or whatever doesn't die down at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that is where I think keeping it alive through art forms, keeping it alive through movies, keeping it alive through other cultural forums, and also for people to understand that this is not a corrupted form of Hindi, but a legitimate form of vernacular language, which has a history tied to that particular region of India, right? And I also find it really fascinating that it transcends our current state boundaries, right? Because very interestingly, the states of India, as all of us know, they were formed on linguistic backgrounds, right? The state reorganization was based on language. But here is a language that is spoken by people in Maharashtra, that is spoken by people in Kannada, that is spoken by people in Karnataka, by people in Telengana, Tamil Nadu. And if
it's a regional language.
It is a regional language. Absolutely, it's a regional language. Spoken by minorities, but then. If you draw an invisible map, it actually gives us and transports us back into the social political structure that was there from about mid of 1300s to about about 1600s. I think the decline. I mean, even now, right? I mean, so languages always keep evolving, and even now it is practiced. So it is a language that has been in existence for the last 700 plus years.
Awesome.
And I think it's also a great representation of the diversity that we have, and the fact that there are layers of culture that we have within us, right? I mean, especially in India. So
I want to ask you a question. Dinner में क्या होना चाहिए?
जो बनाए सो खा ले तू.